On Tuesday, the Dow Jones had its worst day since June 2020. It fell nearly 4%, with the S&P tanking 4.3% and the Nasdaq plunging by more than 5%. Just 5 stocks in the S&P 500 finished in the positive territory. Tech stocks were hit particularly hard, with Facebook parent Meta dropping 9.4% and chip giant Nvidia shedding 9.5%. All this took place after a key August inflation report came in hotter than expected, hurting investor optimism for cooling prices and a less aggressive Federal Reserve. Inflation rose 0.1% in August, even after a decline in gas prices. Price levels were up 8.3% compared to the previous year. Economists polled by Dow Jones expected a month-over-month decline of 0.1%. US Treasury yields jumped on Tuesday as well, as investors bet that a hot inflation reading will keep the Federal Reserve aggressive in tightening monetary policy in the near and longer terms. The bank has widely been expected to hike by 3/4 of a point, or 75 basis points, next week. The report now has some investors thinking a 1 percentage point hike is also possible. While global markets are gripped by fear of a looming economic recession, one industry that seems to be staving off the slowdown is technology. Mark Chaffey is CEO at Hackajob, a recruitment platform for tech firms. He says the sector's demand for skilled workers is rising at record pace.
One of the most unique things about this recession is the amount of jobs that are still available and the fact that we've got pretty much full employment in both the US and the UK. So it's a very unique situation to enter into a recession. I largely agree with the majority of the forecasts that we are likely to enter a recession, and probably quite a deep one. I think what we are seeing in the tech world is that whilst companies are even making redundancies in certain areas of their organizations, they're still continuing to invest in technology, because I think the other lasting impact from the pandemic is every company in the world is now a technology business. If you're not going to invest in technology as an organization, you're not going to be successful over the next decade. And I think it's very easy to get seduced by the headlines of later stage venture-backed technology companies that have raised a lot of investment over the last few years and are now making significant layoffs. Often those layoffs don't touch technology. And actually, the vast majority of the technology workforce work for companies that you would not consider to be a technology business. So whilst, yes, I think we are entering a recession, I think we're going to see continued investment in larger organizations in technology. And you're going to be in this weird juxtaposition where, on one hand, they may be reducing headcount in non-tech teams, whilst on the other side, they will be continuing to invest and grow their technology organization because they know it can increase productivity and performance across the company. I think you can't underestimate how hard it is right now for companies to really aggressively scale their technology functions. And whilst there will be cost pressures as we enter a recession, I think the availability of talent is going to be a bigger driving factor than how much an individual costs. And bear in mind, quality talent lives everywhere. And I think one of the greatest things about COVID is it has democratized opportunities to really high-paying, high-skilled jobs across the world. So offshoring doesn't necessarily equal low-skilled talent, right? There are very, very talented people in what might be traditionally considered lower-cost locations. So I think that's one of the greatest benefits that we've seen as a globe over the last 2 years, is this democratization of access to really high-paying and high-skilled jobs. And I think that's going to be the focus for employers, is how do they attract those individuals? Because, to come back to my earlier point, they know that technology is a crucial part of their strategy over the next 10 years. And ultimately, they need to attract the best people to drive that technology strategy. Yes, we are going to go through a recessionary environment. And yes, a lot of the trends that we did see in COVID have reversed. However, we've got very, very strong conviction that hybrid work is here to stay, and that, especially in the larger organizations, despite going through a recessionary environment, they will continue to invest in technology because they know they have to for them to have a successful future.